Hello my friends, we have some of the good news coming from the front lines. Actually, it's the most vulnerable direction nowadays for Ukraine. I mean, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. This is the place where Russia gains the ground almost every day, propelling slowly, but gradually. And what a surprise, today we see some of the blue flags in this area. One and the other one. And we have the real image confirmation from Verbova village, the place where Russians entered with the small sabotage groups placing their flags. But now Ukraine started its counteroffensive and our guys are spotted in the same place. And who is out there? 110th Brigade. They are very capable. I told about them in my recent videos that they've been deployed to a specific place and they already use some of the FPV drones to target Russian flag carriers here in Verbova, and not only, so it was the preparation before the infantry assault towards the same settlement. Yeah, sometimes as we see Ukraine also has losses. For example, this vehicle, for example this pickup truck I guess was hit by Russian FPV drone. Yeah, it's not a pickup truck, it's the Humvee vehicle. You can see our guys evacuated from the vehicle. It was disabled with the first drone and later on Russians finished it. Yeah, sadly, but sometimes Ukraine also has losses. But luckily in this particular case no one was hurt from infantry forces. In many of the occasions Ukraine is using even standard vehicles, cars, trucks and vans. And thank you guys for helping collecting the funds for those vehicles, which were delivered recently with the help of Your Finnish Friends Foundation to our guys on the front lines. I will not specify a particular regiment, but this regiment is one of the most capable forces Ukrainian army has. The name starts with letter A. Yeah, totally per one stream we were capable to collect funds for 4 of the vehicles. Yes, they are not fancy pickup trucks, no, but they are working horse type of the vehicles. They will do their job. And one more shout out to Nordic Perspective channel, Ima Nia herself. She helps to collect those funds. Plus she is serving in Ukrainian army. I'll put the link for her channel again in the video description just below. Now let's go back to the front lines. There is one more blue flag out there. Let's check out what is there, because it's the first time I'm checking this one. Our guys are there with the flag. It is not 110th Brigade for sure. They have different logo. It is 23rd Ukrainian Motorized Brigade. This place is being geolocated, and if our guys are staying there with the flag, it means that this area is more or less safe. And for now it is actually placed in the gray zone. This is the village of Sosnivka, but nevertheless I see the positive movement of Ukrainian army in attempt to stop this big Russian assault. Russians in general are very effective in this direction, but recently Ukraine sent some of the reinforcements and maybe Russians could be slowed down or in the best case scenario stopped completely in this direction. And we also have the confirmation from the NOAA reports that Sosnivka, Voronezh even and Sechneva were liberated by Ukrainian army. So actually Ukraine went even here according to those reports, but I don't have the real drone evidence. But probably there is the information shared about Ukrainian presence in this direction. Here's just one street with some of the small households, so it's not a big village. Voronezh village is very small. This one, Sosnivka, is a little bigger. But in general, guys, I'm quite surprised that Ukraine manages to take the ground back even in this very difficult environment. And Russia has advantage over Ukraine if you speak about everything. Aviation, gliding bombs, infantry, but Russians cannot dig down to their places they occupy. Yeah, Sosnivka, Sechneva, also the similar stuff is happening in Pokrov's direction. Well, I may say that for the last 24 hours there was no significant movement in Pokrovsk. Russian army is still being trapped here between Shakhova and Novoshachova. Also, the situation for the Russian army in those 4 villages is terrible. They're in lack of the supplies. And I expect the same outcome for them as here in the coming even days. Maybe I'm too much optimistic, but I read some of the Russian military bloggers, analytics, and they're just screaming about their disastrous situation in Pokrovsk-Dobropilya. So after all, I don't think it was a good idea for Russians to even start this offensive maneuver towards Zoloty Kolodets. And the Pokrovsk town is still over here. It's been controlled by Ukrainian army for a very long time. And I was kind of pessimistic, telling the last autumn. I guess it was November. I thought that probably in December or January Russians will manage to occupy Pokrovsk. And let's go to November, yeah, 2024, for example, this day. So I was telling here that probably this winter Russians could occupy Pokrovsk. Well, definitely they propelled forward, they increased those kind of the bridgeheads around, but still Pokrovsk, Mirnograd are under Ukrainian control. I didn't expect that Russians may bog down around those settlements for such extensive period of time, but definitely they take fields, tree lines, some of the small villages, but here, big towns, no. For the last year, the only positive territorial gain for Russia is Kupiansk, because they entered this city. It's not a town, it's already the big settlement, and they control the northern part of it. But still, Ukraine continued to defend it, so it's early to say about the full occupation of the settlement. And if we go to Toretsk, you can see that the part of the town is still in a gray area, which is absolute craziness of how Ukraine may defend Toretsk for such extensive period of time, and still Russia fails to propel towards Konstantinovka for many months, and they are unable to occupy even Chasiv Yar fully, because there are some of the districts, as you may see, which are in the gray area. Russian army is again not very capable for its size, because Russian command is in lack of competence, absolutely. The Russian military system is not working well at all. I guess if Ukraine had those kind of the resources as Russia, the fights would be happening in Moscow. Alright, Sumy Oblast Noel report says that the fights are ongoing now in Alexeyevka. So just right now there are fights ongoing, very heavy fights. Russia tries to send some of the reinforcements, but Ukraine also has backup. We'll see how it goes in a couple of days. But Ukraine has pretty much good chances to push Russians towards Vladimirivka and Novomykolaivka, because before Russians were forced to leave the part of this village. And yes, we have the latest update from the deep state military map from this place. This is the screenshot from their Telegram group. Let's go to the map itself. Where is it? Come on, deep state. Maybe they don't have it for the English version. Let's go to Ukrainian one. Yeah, it is glitching. What is happening? Okay, well, finally on Telegram, this is their Telegram group. Okay, they confirmed that Sosnivka and nearby territories were cleared by Ukrainian defenders. So, yeah. So soon they're gonna update it on their main source, deep state military map. Yeah. Alright, what we have here is the Russian burning Buk M3, I guess it's the name of this air defense system. It was hit by Ukrainian drone somewhere in the southern direction. Ukraine again intensifies strikes on Russian air defense systems and some of the radars. Well, for the last couple of days, Russia lost lots of the stuff, including some of the refineries, oil pumping stations, air defense, and here I'm gonna tell you about more. For example, Russians tried to use the same Buk air defense in Rostov region, and something went wrong for them. Because then they tried to fire a missile, it just kaboomed, the vehicle is gone. And it's the second Buk system lost in the last couple of days. Also, there are official statements from the military command that Russia lost a couple of the very expensive radars. RLS P-14F, Lena and Sopka-2. Well, I do not have the real drone images coming from the place, so I will wait just a little to confirm it by 100%. But should we trust the official statements? In most of the cases, yes, but I would like to see more evidence, let's say. Again, some of the Russian refineries are smoking. Oh my god! And what is this? This is the Ukrainian drone which was spotted. This is FP1 from 5 Point Company. The Orenburg refinery is in the middle class, capable to process roughly 7 million tons of fuel per year. And it is located really far away from Ukraine, 1,500 kilometers, which is roughly 920 miles, maybe even just a little less, I guess. It is at the very border with Kazakhstan. So as you see, every day there are some of the strikes on Russian infrastructure. By the way, we have a new video update from Top Support where Ukraine used some sort of the drone boats to target Russian oil infrastructure. And here's the Russian military ship. It fires towards the boat, which is very close. But what Russians do, they hit water all around. Just look at how far away they aim from this drone boat. Here here the splash, here's the splash, and the drone is over here. Well, maybe it is a camera perspective, but it seems like the fire was conducted from this military ship, or military boat, it's better to say, because after all it's kind of small. Yeah, it seems like Imperial paratroopers from the Star Wars, they had better accuracy than Russian soldiers. Yeah, you see those splashes all around, but the drone boat just proceeded to its target, which is the infrastructure of this oil port, and the video was filmed from the tanker, which has been parked out there. And yeah, later on there was the kaboom, which damaged the port infrastructure and pipelines. Yeah, you know, from the far perspective, I wasn't sure about accuracy and how far this boat was from the ship, but it was really close. And what the hell is happening with the Russian precision fire? It's not precise at all. Daytime, perfect weather, visibility million by million kilometers, and still Russians missed the drone. One drone, a single freaking boat. Well, it shows that if Ukraine really wants to kaboom the Kerch Bridge, I think it may do it. I would say for now it's more like political question than the actual capabilities of Ukrainian army. Ukraine has those capabilities, especially with the long-range tools, drone boats, drone submarines, and so on. But Russians also launched their drone strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure. For example, Ukrainian Naftogaz group reported about the biggest strike on their facilities, which happened the last day in Poltava hub. Well, luckily Ukraine has Western partners who continue to support Ukrainian economy, also supplying fuel and other stuff to maintain Ukrainian logistics. But at the same time, Russia intensified the strikes, especially during this cold weather period already. Winter is coming very, very soon, and Russians already created several of the blackouts, including nuclear power stations. Oh my god, 6 million rubles for a Russian soldier, for a single Russian soldier who would sign the contract with the Russian army. $73,000 just for a signature. This is, I guess, Voronezh Oblast. Yeah, obviously Russian volunteers are going to join the Russian army. Still, they have those, because Russians, they live in poverty. For them, 6 million rubles, it's like from alternate reality. So they risk with it. They join the Russian army. Still, yeah, there are less volunteers than before, than the previous year. But 6 million, 73,000, come on, per one soldier. Yeah, there are the cases then Russians do not obtain those money. They are caputed right away on the front lines in the first couple of weeks. And that's the idea for Russian army in general, to throw them as fast as possible to Ukrainian positions. But in majority of the cases, definitely Russian army pays those money. Crazy money, absolutely. Despite all of the bad situation with the Russian economy, and by the way, Putin said that they're gonna rise some of the taxes by at least 2% the next year, and they do it just to sustain those crazy salaries, yeah, for Russian soldiers. It's a one-time payment, but it is very big. This was filmed in Leningrad Oblast, not far away from St. Petersburg. Russia is sending their reinforcements, probably even to Ukraine. There are lots of the artillery systems, like for example self-propelled Msta-S, and this is Getsint-S. Also some of the Russian soldiers together with a small generator. So yeah, probably Ukraine should also focus to disturb Russian logistics behind the front line, railroad connections, because Russia uses this stuff to deliver supplies, but it could be delivery not to Ukraine even, but close to NATO countries. For the last couple of years, Russia reorganized and reinforced their group in Leningrad Oblast, because it's bordering Finland. Oh my, Russian soldiers, Russian millionaires are going to storm Ukrainian positions. Those are not the crutches, this is the exoskeleton of the 21st century. Guys, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube, please follow me on Patreon. I'll put my link for Patreon right in the video description below, or you may support me joining the membership of this YouTube channel. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to make it my full-time job, so thank you again so much. And I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.